everyone, this is Maki. When it comes to the Gundam series, the most enduring and historically rich world is undoubtedly the Universal Century. The stories of the Universal Century often deal with complex and challenging issues. One such topic is the debate over which story takes place earlier in history, Tane Gundam or Reconguista G. This question has caused a lot of discussion. Recently, new information regarding this debate has been released through official media. Today, let's review the facts from the past and the new announcements. And as we go through this information, I hope that each of you will find your own way to discover the world of the Universal Century. First, let's review the facts from the past. Reconguista G was promoted as a story set earlier in history than Tane Gundam. However, during an official event called Night of G-Reco Study Session, Director Yoshiyuki Tomino made statements that contradicted this perspective. Let's take a closer look at what was said. Before we dive in, I'd like to point out an important detail. Mr. Yoshiyuki Tomino often uses very nuanced expressions that are unique to the Japanese language. His words can be interpreted in different ways, depending on the listener's perspective. While I will do my best to convey the subtleties of his speech in English, there may be some parts that don't fully capture his intended nuance. Please keep this in mind as we review the information. During the session, a member of the audience asked Mr. Yoshiyuki Tomino a question. I would like to ask about the creation of Reconguista G after Tane Gundam. I think this is the first time that you have used a retrospective approach in the production of a Gundam series. What kind of mindset did you have when you took on this challenge? Mr. Yoshiyuki Tomino replied, "Wait a minute! What exactly do you mean by retrospective? Do you mean shifting the perspective to the future timeline and looking back at the past from there? Or do you mean looking at the past from the present timeline?" Now Hiro Ogata, a producer for Sunrise, elaborated on the question. I think the theme is about the timeline of the Universal Century. From the perspective that Tane Gundam is positioned at the end of the Universal Century, the debate is about Reconguista G being a part of history before Tane. Shaking his head, Mr. Yoshiyuki Tomino replied, No, it's the opposite. Tane takes place about 50, no, maybe even 500 years before Reconguista G. At this point, not only the fans in the audience, but also Mr. Ogata and the staff were visibly shaken by his answer. Mr. Ogata asked Tomino, from the perspective of Gundam's history, it seems like Tane Gundam is positioned at the furthest point in time, isn't it? Tomino strongly denied this, saying, "That's not true." Maki, the voice actor of Belly Zainam, the protagonist of Reconguista G, was also surprised. Tomino repeated no 3 times to emphasize his disagreement. Ogata laughed and remarked, "If that's the case, then all the official materials are completely wrong." The fans in the audience, though surprised by this sudden development, couldn't help but laugh as well. Tomino began to explain, saying that something is positioned at the furthest point in history is an oversimplification. It seems that this impression comes from the concept of Black history, doesn't it? The idea of Black history is just a setting specific to the era of Tane Gundam. In other words, in any given era, there will always be something that looks like Black history. That's all it is. Ogata followed up with another question. Based on my impression from watching the series, Tane felt like a story set 1,000 years after the end of the universal century. So I thought Tane was a story in the distant future at the end of the universal century. Tomino replied, "Those Tane seem like it's at the farthest point of the universal century. If that's what you felt, then that's a bit of a strange interpretation. I created Reconguista in G with the intention that it would take place after Tane. I didn't discuss the chronological relationship between Tane and Reconguista in G with anyone during production. So any timeline that was created must have been created by someone else. However, I don't have any negative feelings towards the person who made it. If they felt that way, that's perfectly fine. However, the technology and weapons that appear in Reconguista in G cannot be created with the technological level of Tane Gundam." Ogata, clearly perplexed by Tomino's responses, concluded with, "After this, I think we'll need to hold a meeting with the Sunwise staff to sort out the information. For now, we'd appreciate it if everyone here could keep today's comments to themselves." Tomino added, "I encourage everyone to have discussions and create your own versions of the universal century. As for the historical placement of Reconguista in G, this is just my personal opinion. But if when building your own view of the universal century, you feel like placing it after Tane, I would be delighted." This is Tomino's perspective. While there was much more discussed during the event, the content has been summarized for clarity. If the opportunity arises, I'd love to create a program to delve deeper into what was discussed during this event. Tomino's stance appears to be during production. I considered Reconguista in G to take place after Tane Gundam. However, I believe it's a good thing for viewers to have their own interpretations. Meanwhile, the Sunwise staff had adhered to the promotional material from the time Tane Gundam was created, which presented it as the final story in all of Gundam. This is why when promoting Reconguista in G, many media outlets described it as a story set before Tane Gundam. Then, a program was released that shared information about the game you see engage. This game was developed with the goal of depicting the authentic history of the universal century. Although it's a game rather than a TV and Neo movie, it aims to faithfully portray the history of the universal century. The program featured a discussion between Toshiko Tsunoko, a producer from Sunwise's Studio One, and Harutoshi Fukui, the writer responsible for the story. The discussion focused on content based on the history of the Moon Gundam manga. Notably, Fukui is also the writer behind the stories of Gundam Unicorn and Gundam Narrative. After a presentation about the history of the Gundam series, Fukui asked Naka, "Does Reconguista in G take place before Tane Gundam?" Naka replied, "According to the latest official settings, Reconguista in G is positioned as the earlier story. The events of Reconguista in G take place first, followed by the events of Tane Gundam. There has been considerable debate about this, but this is how it is currently defined. It seems that based on the latest official media, the official setting now recognizes Reconguista in G as taking place before the story of Tane Gundam. So how do you see it? From the perspective of official media answers, it is correct to say that Reconguista in G happened before Tane Gundam. However, I found Tomino's perspective it's okay for everyone to imagine their own universal century to be really wonderful. Moreover, his scientifically based argument that the advanced technology in Reconguista G could never be realized in the era of Turn A Gundam was convincing and thought-provoking. Among fans, the content shared in the UC Engage program has sparked various opinions. Fukui often takes the approach of clarifying ambiguous elements. For example, there is the concept of new types, an idea created by Tomino. Tomino has never given a clear answer to the question, what exactly is a new type? In his 2021 book, Don't Take the Work of Making Any Lightly, he expressed a similar sentiment. Tomino continues to explore the question of what is a new type to this day. Fukui, on the other hand, described new types as Itoko in the audio commentary for the Gundam Unicorn Blu-ray. Itoko is a cultural tradition found in southern regions of Japan. They are similar to monks, although strictly speaking, it might be inaccurate to equate them with monks. My knowledge is limited, so I can't offer a perfect explanation. In this cultural context, an Itoko is someone with the ability to summon the spirits of the dead and convey their words to the living. Fukui portrayed the new types as similar beings. When watching Gundam Unicorn or Gundam Narrative, it might be interesting to analyze the works from this perspective. This clear definition of new types has divided fans of the Gundam series. Some fans who don't particularly like Gundam Unicorn or Gundam Narrative seem to resist Fukui's interpretation. A similar dynamic can be seen in the relationship between Reconguista G and Turn A Gundam. Tomino, as the creator, approached the production with the mindset that Reconguista G comes after Turn A Gundam, but left room for individual viewers to interpret it as they wish. Sunrise, on the other hand, presented a clear official setting that Reconguista G takes place before Turn A Gundam. I respect the official setting, but I also think that Tomino's philosophy is a beautiful one. If you like, I'd like to hear your thoughts as well. Thank you for watching to the end. I look forward to seeing you in the next program.